Apocalypse.
What is going on, guys? So we are finally going to farm every single frame on Warframe, and this is going to be one hefty video. Now in the description below there's going to be timestamps for every frame, so if you don't need to farm every single one of them, you can find which one you're looking for, get in, get out, get what you need. But we're going to keep this super simple. I'm going to try to get through this as fast as I can. Hopefully by the end of this you guys will be able to farm whatever frame you want. Now this does not include primes, because primes are a part of relics, and there's a whole different system behind that, and it's not too hard. You just need to crack open relics and collect everything you need to craft your frame. This video is mainly intended for our newer Tennos out there and helping them get all the frames they need so they can progress through the star chart, and of course to earn their mastery. Now, before we start, you have to understand that when you're crafting a Warframe, you need the blueprint, you need the Neuroptics chassis and system, all which have to be crafted individually. Starting with the Neuroptics chassis and system, these will take 12 hours to craft. You can wait the 12 hours or you can rush it for 25 platinum. And once you finish crafting the Neuroptics chassis and system, you can go ahead and use your blueprint and craft the Warframe itself. That'll have a crafting time of 72 hours and it can be rushed for 50 platinum. A lot of these Warframe blueprints are going to be acquired from the market or from quests, and there are just a select few where you will get them from other various locations, but I'll try to explain that as much as I can in this video when you get to the frame that you need. Now keep in mind that every time you go to craft any kind of component to a Warframe, it's also going to have secondary resources. I do have a video up on how to farm these resources, so if you need to farm those, go ahead and check that video out. So with that being said, let's get right into this. This is going to be as fast as I can explain it. I'm going to get a lot of the frames done that can be acquired the fastest and the easiest. These Warframes are going to be acquired from the dojo. All you need to do is be in a clan. They have to have this researched, and you just have to buy the replicated blueprints for these Warframes. They're not very expensive. They cost a few credits, maybe a few tens of thousands. It can be 15,000, 20,000 credits per blueprint. It's not too much, not too crazy, not too hard. Now the frames that you're getting here are BANSHE, NEZHA, Volt, WUKONG, and ZEPHYR. Like I said, all you gotta do is buy the blueprints, go ahead and go over to your foundry, craft them. They're gonna take 12 hours for the 3 components and then 72 hours to craft the frame, but it is super simple. These are the easiest frames you're going to obtain, aside from the one that you started with. So these frames are frames that you're going to be getting while you are running the quest. They are obtained at the end of the quest. You'll be able to craft them fully. These frames include INAROS with the Sands of INAROS quest, LIMBO, running the Limbo Theorem quest, Mirage, running the Hidden Message, Octavia, completing Octavia's Anthem, and finally Titania, running Silver Grove. Now these frames will be obtainable at the end of the quests. They do have prerequisites, but you can check those out in your codex on your orbiter. If you do not know where your codex is, it is right here on your ship. Just walk up to it, interact with it, and you will be able to see your quests under the quest tab. Being that we are talking about quests right now, these are all the frames that are going to have their blueprints obtained from the quest. It does not mean that you can only get these frames from that quest like the other ones that were just mentioned. This is just for the blueprint. These frames include Atlas, doing the Jordas Precept, GARA on Saya's Vigil, GARUDA on the Voxelaris quest, HARROW running the Chains of Harrow's quest, INAROS with the Sands of INAROS, LIMBO in the Limbo Theorem, Mirage during the Hidden Message, Octavia in Octavia's Anthem, Protea doing the Deadlock Protocol, Nidus in the Glassed Gambit, Titania in the Silver Grove, and Revenant in the Mask of the Revenant. Keep in mind, again, this is just for the main blueprint. Outside of that, we have Chroma. Now Chroma, his Neuroptics chassis and system come from junctions, so as you're running the planets, you're going to be trying to complete these junctions, which would be the Uranus junction, the Neptune junction, the Pluto junction, and his main blueprint coming from the War Within. Now I know he comes from a quest, but he has to have his own little explanation, being that he's acquired differently. Once again, the War Within, you can see what the prerequisites are and how you start the quest by simply going to your codex and looking under the codex and looking under the quest tab for the War Within. As soon as you complete the War Within, you are rewarded with Chroma's main blueprint, and then you will have to clear all of these junctions, or make sure that you clear these junctions to get the components that you need. Now, if you for some reason deleted one of these blueprints, whether it be the Neuroptics chassis or system, you can go to Cephalon Samaris on any relay that he is in and purchase another blueprint of the one that you deleted for standing. So now with those frames being out of the way, we're going to be talking about how to get GARA and Revenant, which come from the plains of Eidolon, running bounties. Now when you look at a bounty, it's going to tell you a description of what you get, or what you can possibly get from running that bounty. So this is how we break it down. If the bounty has 5 stages, that means that each stage that does have a chance to drop that blueprint is now right in front of you. So if you are on stage 2 running a bounty for Garuda's chassis, you will have a 7.5% chance to get a chassis, and on stage 3 you will have a 30.5% chance to get her chassis from that bounty on stage 3. And the same goes on for the Neuroptics in the system. On stage 2 and 3 you have an 8.4% chance. On stage 4 you have a 20.5% chance. And for the system, it's the same thing again. Stage 2 has a 9.5% chance, and stage 3 has a 21.8% chance. So farming this frame won't be too difficult. You should get her relatively easily and relatively fast. And of course the same rules apply for Revenant, but of course he shows up in more of our bounties, so he might be a little bit faster to obtain, but his values are lower, so he might take a little bit longer. Honestly, it is all luck, but farming him won't be too hard. It is the same process, just different bounties. And moving on to Voxelaris. So Voxelaris is going to host the opportunity to get 3 other frames, and we are going to start with Baruch. Now with Baruch, you are going to have to level up your standing, or your rank rather, in Voxelaris in order to be able to buy his blueprints. Each one of them are going to cost you 5,000 standing from the main blueprint all the way down to the system, costing you 20,000 standing, which isn't too difficult. The only part is that you do have to work your way up to being agent rank. Not sure how long that'll take you. To each their own. It depends if you're actually just running each and every day, maxing out your standing, and it also depends on your mastery level, because each level of mastery gives you an additional 1,000 to your capacity. So if your base capacity for standing is 5,000 and you are mastery 5, your total capacity for the day before reset is going to be 10,000. So if you're mastery 25, that's an additional 25,000 mastery you can get per day, which will let you rank up faster in Voxelaris or Plains of Eidolon, whatever the standing case may be. So the higher the mastery, the better you're off, because you'll be able to cap out and get to agent status as fast as you can. The next frame that we're going to be looking at is Hildryn. Now Hildryn, you can get her main blueprint in the shop for standing as well. It only costs 5,000 standing, but the harder part is getting her components, because in order to get her components you have to be max rank in Voxelaris to be able to run the boss encounter. And that's going to be the Exploiter. Now when you defeat the Exploiter, you have a 100% chance to obtain a component, and of that 100% you have a 38.7% chance to get the Neuroptics or the chassis, and a 22.5% chance of getting the system. With that being said and done, we're going to move on to the third frame that we will be getting here at Voxelaris. That frame being Garuda. Garuda you'll get from running bounties in Voxelaris, which work the same way as Plains of Eidolon frames. So under the bounty you'll see it'll have either the chassis, Neuroptics, or system, and in that bounty they will have different stages. If you're running a bounty for the chassis on stage 2, you have a 7.5% chance. On stage 3, you have a 30.5% chance. The same goes for the Neuroptics and systems, being stage 2 and 3, 12.5% chance to get the Neuroptics, stage 4, 25% systems, stage 2, 7.4%, and stage 3, 22.22% chance to get the systems. Again, this is another frame that will not take too long to farm. The odds of getting the blueprints here are fairly good, so best of luck and just farm up Garuda. And being that we are on the subject of bounties, we are going to move to Diamos, or Diamos, however you want to pronounce it. This is the last frame that we will be getting from bounties, which will be Zaku. So if you're looking at the bounty and it says that the chassis is within that bounty, the bounty will be in stages, and on stage 2 and 3 you will have an 8.5% chance, on stage 4 a 6.6% chance, stage 5 a 13% chance. With the Neuroptics on stage 2 you will have a 7.5% chance, and on stage 3 a 10% chance, followed by the system. Stage 2 and 3 have a 7.5% chance, stage 4 a 6% chance, and stage 5 a 10% chance. Being that these values are so low, it will be a hassle to get these components, but again, with due time, you will obtain Zaku. Anyway, before we move on to the next frames, we're going to be talking about this guy right here, Shadow Stalker. Whenever you defeat a boss, you are technically killing this guy's friends. So what happens is when you complete the boss, after you come out of the mission, Shadow Stalker will send a message to your inbox, and it will say your actions have consequences. That means you will be marked to death, and on any instance where you are running a mission, there is a chance that he will spawn. You don't really need to worry about Shadow Stalker unless you're running on one of your frames that you're trying to level up and you are super underleveled, or you're going to be overwhelmed. If you are running with a team, it doesn't have to be pre-made or anything, it could just be random matchmake. Your teammates typically tend to help with the Shadow Stalker. When he is defeated, he does have a few unique drops that you can get from him. This includes Dread, Despair, Hate, War, and the Broken War. Now, I know that it says 2.7% for 4 of these weapons, but Despair for some reason has like a 0.1% chance of dropping. You will get 7 Hates, 3 Wars, and 2 Broken Wars before you can even think about getting Despair. I'm not sure how many times I've taken down Stalker, but Despair is definitely like 0.0001% chance of getting. It has the lowest drop rate, but if you somehow get lucky and you get him on your first kill, that's great. A lot of people will hate you. But these are his unique drops, and he also drops some mods, which will be Blind Justice, Energy Channel, Heavy Impact, Intensify, and Molten Impact. Now, these mods aren't the craziest thing in the world, but they are nice to have, especially that stands Blind Justice. It works really well. I tend to enjoy it. Alright, so with all that said and done, this part of the video is honestly going to be really fast. It's not too difficult, it's not too much, but there are certain things that you need to know before you go for these frames. But it is nothing crazy. We're gonna get by this super quick. Just stick with me. I'll try to explain as much as I can, as fast as I can, so you're not here for 18 hours trying to figure out how to get one of these frames. So we're going to be starting off with Ash. Now, to get Ash, we have to kill Mannix, and the best place to find Mannix are going to be on the maps, or the tile sets that you see on screen. You'll know when a Mannix spawns when you hear this like really creepy evil laugh, and shortly after they will teleport around you. They'll try to assassinate you. It will not kill you one shot unless you have like 5 health, and when you do take down these Mannix, you have a 33% chance for a component to drop, and of that 33% chance that does drop, you have a 12.9% chance to get the Neuroptics, a 12.9% chance to get a chassis, and only a 7.5% chance to get the system. Typically this will take a long time to do because you have to get Mannix to spawn, and I'm not sure how frequent they spawn, but the best places to find them are on these maps here. So moving on to Atlas, we will be going to Eris, doing the Arcwing assassination, and we're going to be killing the Jordis Golem. Now, before you can kill the Jordis Golem, you will have to do the Jordis Precept, and for this boss, if you do not have a decent Arcwing, or if you feel like your Arcwing skills are not up to par to killing a boss, I do recommend going into the community chat or the recruiting chat and looking for someone to help you with this mission. I do highly recommend having a squad of 4 Arcwings in here. That way you get the fastest amount of kills and the fastest amount of time. As far as the components go, it's going to be super simple. It's going to be the standard, Neuroptics and Chassis being 38.7%, and the systems being 22.5% chance of dropping after you get a kill or after you complete the mission and you go back to your orbiter and you see your after action report. And again, his main blueprint will be obtained through completing the Jordis Precept quest. Next up we have Ember. We're going to be killing General Sargus Rook on Saturn in the tile set Tethys. Super simple boss. The main blueprint for Ember will be obtained in the market for 25,000 credits, and again it is the standard drop rate for the Neuroptics chassis in the system. So up next is Equinox, and Equinox honestly needs a little bit of explaining before we get into it, because Equinox is going to be a major pain to obtain. We're going to be going after Regwar on Titania and Uranus. Now when it comes to Equinox, we first have to get both aspects and both sets of components. So first up, we have to try to get the day aspect, the day neuroptics, chassis, and system on top of the night aspect, night neuroptics, chassis, and system. Each one of the components, all of the neuroptics chassis systems, will take 12 hours to craft, and both aspects take 72 hours to craft. After obtaining both night and day aspects and crafting them, you will be able to use a Equinox blueprint to craft Equinox, which takes an additional 72 hours, making this super annoying. But with that being said and done, the main blueprint does come from the market. That is the simplest part of Equinox that you will get. It'll be 25,000 credits, and you can go ahead and craft Equinox. Up next, we have the poster boy of Warframe, which is Excalibur himself. We're going to be obtaining him by killing Lieutenant Lich Krill on the tile set War on Mars. He has the same basic drop table for his components, which is going to be the 38.7% on Neuroptics and Chassis and the 22.5% on the systems, with his main blueprint coming from the market for 35,000 credits. Next up we got Frost. We're going to be killing Lieutenant Lich Krill and Captain Vor at the same time. It's not too difficult of a fight. Just make sure that you kill Lieutenant Krill second. Captain Vor needs to die first. It's the simplest way you can do it. It's an easy strategy. Trust me. So we're going to be on Exta on the planet Ceres, and again he has the same standard drop table for his components, which is going to be 38.7% on the Neuroptics and Chassis and 22.5% on the systems. His main blueprint comes for the market at 25,000 credits. So up next we have Gauze, and for Gauze we're not going to be killing any bosses or anything. We're going to be doing a mission type or a mission variant called Disruption. Now this Disruption has to be on Kelpie on the planet Sedna. So when you're going for Gauze, it's going to be a little tedious to obtain her because you only get her components on round 4 or rotation C. Now if you've never heard of rotations, I'm going to explain what rotations are right now. Pretty much Warframe runs on a basis of rotations for their rewards, so their drop tables vary per rotation. So in this instance we're looking at rotation AABC, so round 1 is A, round 2 is A, round 3 is B, and round 4 is C. Now when you do get to C rotation, you only have a 7.84% chance to get one component for Gauze, and her main blueprint is obtainable through the market for 30,000 credits. Now if you've never played Disruption and you want to learn how to do Disruption, I'm going to put a video up right after this, or right now, of me doing Disruption, and you can see that there's going to be these little keys that I pick up and put into these stands. Now the stand is going to have a time, and it's going to give either a buff or a debuff to you for a short duration. The main idea is to protect these stands from the demolition units. The demolition units release a sound when they are nearby, and it sounds something like this. When you hear that sound, that means find that unit and kill him before he gets to the stand, because if he makes it there, he will charge up and explode and you will fail that one stand. In order to successfully complete that round, you have to have at least one of those stands remaining or protected. Now I'm not sure if each rotation has a different drop table depending on how many you protect successfully or fail, or if you will get the Neuroptics, the Chassis, or the system on rotation C if you let one be destroyed or two to be destroyed. Just to be safe, try your best and try to get all 4 still standing at the end of the round. Now just because it drops on rotation C being round 4 doesn't mean it stops there. Pretty much the rotation will continue afterwards. Round 5 will be A, round 6 will be A, round 7 will be B, and round 8 will be C, and it'll keep going as far as you go. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get on to the next frame. Oh boy, now we're going to try to farm Grendel. So the thing about Grendel is the prerequisite for trying to obtain Grendel is going to be having to have 100% of your star chart completed. The reason you want to have your star chart completed is because we need to be able to do arbitration. I don't really want to go too much into arbitration because it's something that everyone should try out for themselves, but we're going to need this variant of game modes that pops up in your alerts. The reason being is that we need to obtain Vitus Essence, because we're going to need Vitus Essence in order to buy these locators. Now the locators you can get from the arbiters on whatever relay you decide to go to. Once you get these locators, they give you a specific mission that you have to run in order to obtain Grendel's components. If you don't know how to get to a relay, then you can check one out on Earth on the Strata relay. Go ahead and join an instance. Typically I like to go to one that is not busy, or I'd rather go to an instance that is calm, and then head over to arbiters and open up the shop. That's going to be the first vendor that is right in front of the door, and here you'll see inside the shop are the Grendel locators. Now those locators all point towards Europa, and they're going to be these missions here. Now these missions are a bit difficult because you will not have the opportunity of using any of your mods, so I highly recommend you go into the recruiting chat and see if anyone wants to run these missions with you, because the difficulty can be overwhelming. These missions include a 20-minute survival for the Neuroptics, a 15-wave defense for the chassis, and an excavation where you have to excavate 8 mining locations. Now these missions might seem simple because there is so little requirements as far as duration of the mission, but you have to think about the fact that you won't have any mods on your Warframe and you will not have any mods on your weapons. There are absolutely no mods allowed. Now being that these missions are being accessed through the locators, there is no negative percentage on getting a part or a component because that is the only reward that it will give you aside from pickups. So it is 100% guaranteed to grab one of these components. And yeah, the main blueprint is purchasable in the market for 35,000 credits. So with Grendel out of the way, let's move on to Harrow. So when it comes to Harrow, this is a frame that we're going to have to run around the star chart for. For his Neuroptics, we're going to be doing a spy mission on the Kuva Fortress, and it requires you to obtain all 3 data caches successfully. What this means is that the first data cache is A, the second data cache is B, and the third data cache is C. Now the percentage for getting his Neuroptics is 11.2%, which seems pretty low, but you can expect to get one within 8 or 9 runs. If you're really lucky, you can get this done even before you hit 9 runs. Now for his chassis, we're going to be killing corrupted enemies in void fissures. This only has a 3% drop chance where you kill so many corrupted enemies in a void fissure mission, which would be the missions you run to crack open relics. You can usually see these when you notice the yellow storm. The yellow storm will change your regular enemies into corrupted enemies, and they will have a coating of yellow armor. Being that you're killing so many of these with the 3% chance, you can expect to kill about 30 or 40 of them before you obtain Harrow's chassis. And it drops so often that you might even end the mission with 4 of them. It honestly depends on how long you spend inside of this void fissure mission. And finally, for the Harrow system, for this we're going to be running defection missions, and he's been renowned for his systems not dropping at all, or at least it seems that way. But on tier 1s, on B rotation you have a 2% chance of obtaining his systems. On tier 1 rotation C you have a 7.5%, and tier is dependent on the mission level, so mission level 1 to 15 will drop Harrow's systems. And then looking at tier 2 and 3 on rotation B, you have the same 2% chance of obtaining a Harrow system, and on rotation C you have a little bit better of a drop rate with 11.2%, and that means tier 2 will be level 16 to 25 and tier 3 will be level 26 and above. The main conclusion behind this is honestly don't spend the platinum to buy Harrow. It will feel like you really want to because the drop rates are so terrible, but with due time you will obtain Harrow. Alright, so up next we have IVARA, and for IVARA you're going to have to learn how to hack consoles and how to be a ninja. All of her components are obtained from running spy missions, as well as her main blueprint. Now you're seeing easy, medium, and hard tier. What this means is that easy tier is level 1 to 15, medium tier is 16 to 25, and hard tier is level 26 and above. Both her Neuroptics and her main blueprint are dropped in rotation C, and what the rotation C is obtaining all 3 data caches. So that means that the first data cache is equivalent to A, the second data cache is equivalent to B, and the third data cache is equivalent to C. So again, her Neuroptics and her main blueprint come from hard tier missions on the rotation C of the data caches. Her chassis comes from medium tier on rotation C, and her system comes from the easy tier on rotation C. These values might seem a little low, it might seem like you're about to run hundreds of spy missions, but honestly, obtaining IVARA was relatively easy. Down in the description, I'll leave a few missions that you can run to farm IVARA efficiently. These are going to be the best places to farm in order to obtain her components, and of course her main blueprint. Alright, so up next we have Cora, and for Cora we are going to be running a syndicate mission called the Onslaught. Now, Onslaught is fairly easy. All you have to do is keep killing ads as long as you can to keep your efficiency as high as you can for as long as you can. The longer you stay in, the better the chance you have at getting Cora components. When going for Cora, you're following the same standard rotation of A, B, C, meaning that Zone 1 is A, Zone 2 is A, Zone 3 is B, and Zone 4 is C. When you're looking at your screen and you see these things on your screen saying zone, efficiency, and score, the only things that we care about are the zone and the efficiency. The score will not matter, that's just determining on how many things you killed per zone. Now when trying to obtain her components, her Neuroptics drops on rotation B with a 9% chance, her chassis drops on rotation A with an 8.3% chance, her systems on rotation C with an 11.28 chance, and her main blueprint also coming from rotation C with an 11.2% chance. Running this shouldn't be too hard to get to the first rotation C. After that, the efficiency does tend to drain a little bit faster, but if you can make it to rotation C twice, meaning zone 8, you will of course increase your chances of obtaining Cora components. This does mean that we're going to have to do multiple rounds of onslaught, but it's not the worst thing in the world to do. The farming here is actually pretty fun. Alright, moving on. So up next we have Loki, and for Loki we will be killing the hyena pack on whatever word that is. I'm not sure which one of those letters is silent, but I'm guessing a lot of those letters are silent. On Neptune, it is the assassination mission to the far right, and this fight is kind of annoying because there are nullifying dogs which will take away your energy, and if you have any kind of effects running, it will wipe those out. Same thing that any kind of nullifying effect would have on your frame, but it is typically easy to clear this. Now when you kill the hyena pack, you have a 38.7% chance to get his Neuroptics, a 38.7% chance to get his chassis, and a 22.5% chance to get his systems, and his main blueprint will come from the market for 35,000 credits. Nothing too crazy here. Loki is pretty simple to obtain. So up next we have Mag, and to get Mag we're going to have to kill the Sergeant on Iliad on the planet Phobos. Killing the Sergeant is pretty straightforward. He just runs around like a normal enemy on the mission. He is a nullifier as well, so he will be putting up a bubble that will stop your abilities, but taking him down is quite simple. After defeating the Sergeant, you will have a 38.7% chance of getting Mag's Neuroptics, a 38.7% chance of getting her chassis, and a 22.5% chance of getting her system, and her main blueprint is purchasable in the market for 25,000 credits. Following up Mag, we have Mesa. Now for Mesa, we will be killing Mutalist Alad V on Eris, doing the assassination mission that is on said planet. This fight can seem confusing. It normally takes a little bit longer than other fights to complete, but he is pretty simple to defeat as well. Upon killing Mutalist Alad V, we will have the same standard 38.7% chance to get the Neuroptics and the chassis, and a 22.5% chance to get the system. But before we try to go ahead and kill Mutalist Alad V, we will need a Mutalist Alad V nav coordinate, and to get these you have to run alerts and find the reward that will give you the Mutalist Alad V nav coordinate. However, if you have someone running this mission with you and they have a coordinate, you can tag along and run the mission together. Only one person needs to have the key or the coordinate to run this assassination, so if you need to, try going into chat and see if anyone wants to run this mission with you or doesn't mind running you through it, as more than one person can benefit from one nav coordinate. And just as a bunch of the previous frames, her main blueprint can be obtained from the market for 30,000 credits. Up next we have Necros, which we will be killing Lephantis on Deimos on the tile set Magnesidium. After killing this weird three-headed creature, you will have a 33.3% chance across the board to get either the Neuroptics, chassis, or system for Necros, and his main blueprint will be coming from the market for 100,000 credits, which is completely worth it because Necros is honestly a complete animal, and he is essential for multiple activities. Up next we have Nidus, and to obtain Nidus we will be having to do Infested Salvage on the planet Eris on the tile set Ostris. Now during this mission variant, the idea is to keep life support as high as you can for as long as you can, round for round. To obtain his components, we will be having to get to rotation C, which is round 4. Now if you just skipped ahead to this part of the video to try to find Nidus, the standard rotation for Warframe is A, B, C, so round 1 will be A, round 2 will be A, round 3 will be B, and round 4 will be C. Getting to round 4 or rotation C will not be difficult to get to in this mission variant, but once completing rotation C, you will have an equal chance, 14.9%, to get his Neuroptics chassis or his systems, and his main blueprint was covered in the quest section. To get Nidus's blueprint, you will have to complete the Glassed Gambit. So up next we have Nova, and for Nova we will be killing the Raptor on Europa in the tile set Nama. Upon completion, you will have a 38.7% chance to get her Neuroptics, a 38.7% chance to get her chassis, and a 22.5% chance to get her system. Nova's main blueprint is obtainable in the market for 35,000 credits. Up next we have Nyx, and for Nyx we will be killing Forward. However, Forward does not have a dedicated tile set. To find Forward, we will have to go into our alerts and find the Forward Infestation. When doing the Forward Infestation, you will be helping the Corpus defeat Forward. However, they do not help you in the fight. They are helping you throughout the mission getting to the fight. Ford isn't the hardest thing in the world to defeat. It's pretty straightforward. You treat him like a regular infested creature. Once he is down and you have completed the mission, you will have a 38.7% chance to get the Neuroptics and the chassis, and a 22.5% chance to get the systems. You also get whatever reward is mentioned in the alert, and in my case that was field drones. Oh boy, you guys are gonna love this one for Oberon. So when it comes to getting Oberon, we have to kill Eximus units. Now, Eximus units are the enemies that are coded either in green, red, or yellow, and when you kill Eximus units, they have a super low drop chance of giving you either his Neuroptics chassis or his system, with that percentage being a 0.387% chance of obtaining one. But while running missions, you run into so many of these that it doesn't even really matter how low of a chance it is, because you will eventually obtain Oberon. If you really want to get Oberon, your best bet is to do it while you're cracking relics, doing fissure missions, because Eximus enemies tend to spawn a lot in those missions. That, or in survival missions. Survival missions, after a certain set of time, Eximus units will spawn more frequently. But the good news is you'll get his main blueprint from the market for 30,000 credits, which you'll end up getting while you're farming for his components. Anyway, up next we have Protea. And to get Protea, or Protea, however you want to say her name, I call her Protea, we will have to do the deadlock protocol before we get into farming her. Now, I'm not sure if this would be a spoiler or if it's not a spoiler. If you're not a fan of spoilers, go ahead and skip on to the next frame, unless you've already done the deadlock protocol and you want to know how to obtain Protea. So with that being said, first we'll have to find a planet that has the Corpus ships orbiting around the planet. Any mission that has this ship on it and it is a Corpus mission will be viable to get the first part done. While on these missions, we are looking for the treasure to pop up. The treasure typically pops up within 2 to 4 minutes, I want to say. He does not attack, he does not try to kill you. All he does is run, and the idea is to kill him as fast as you can to ensure that he does not escape. Upon killing the treasure, depending on your mission level, will drop a crown. These crowns will be needed for our next step. After obtaining a crown, we will be looking for this little console here, and this console is where you use said crowns. And the mission objective inside of this little mini game, let's call it, is to kill X amount of enemies in X amount of time. The harder the crown, the harder the objective will be, in the sense that more enemies will come towards you and more enemies need to be killed within a certain time frame. In the event where you do meet the requirement, you will have an 11% chance across the board to obtain either the Neuroptics, chassis, or system, but each component comes from a different crown. In order to get those crowns, you have to follow the mission levels that were stated before, making the grind to obtain Protea tedious. There will be a lot of running back and forth, and honestly I would say to get as many crowns as you can first, because you can only run this minigame once per crown per mission. So if you have to stop in between to get a key or a crown and then come back in, go out, come in, come out, it will be annoying. So honestly, get as many crowns as you can first, or if you want to run the mission, get the crown, and then run to the console and run it, you can do it that way as well. However you want to do it, that is up to you, but I found it better to get my crowns and then go ahead and run missions just with the intent of running for that console. If you find this part difficult, my biggest recommendation would be to use Mesa. With Mesa's 4th ability, it makes taking down these enemies super quick, especially for that 3rd crown. The Zenith crowns, you have to kill 75 enemies in, I believe, a minute, or a minute and 30 seconds. Your best bet is honestly to use Mesa. And another reason that we have to do the deadlock protocol is because her main blueprint will be a reward from the deadlock protocol. Up next we have Rhino, and for Rhino we will be killing the Jackal on Venus on the tile set Fossa. Now, killing the Jackal can be a little challenging, but after completing said mission, you will have a 38.7% chance to get the Neuroptics and the chassis, and a 22.5% chance to obtaining the systems, as well as his main blueprint coming from the market for 35,000 credits. Up next we have Saturn, and before we start farming Saturn, we're going to need to farm up some judgment points. When it comes to farming our judgment points, you need to go over to Sedna, and you are going to run one of these 3 missions. These missions are also known as the Arena. The objective in the Arena is the same as a team deathmatch if you've ever played Call of Duty or any kind of shooter that has a team deathmatch variant. The first team to 25 kills wins, and upon victory you will get your judgment points. These 3 tile sets being Naki, Yam, and Vod. For Naki you need 0 points to play and the reward is 10 judgment points. On Yam you need 10 points to play but the reward is 15 points, and on Vod you need 15 points to play and the reward is 25 points. These 3 nodes come in through different difficulties, with Naki being easy, Yam being medium, and Vod being hard. Now the difficulty is changed by what modifiers are on said mission, and judgment points aren't the only thing that you can farm here. You can farm endo here, that is a different video for another day. But if you want to keep this method simple, go ahead and just farm up all your judgment points on Naki, get your 10 points, get in, get out. Once we have collected our 25 judgment points, we will be killing Killa on Sedna on the tile set Marrow. Upon completion, you will have a 38.7% chance to get her Neuroptics, a 38.7% chance to get the chassis, and a 22.5% chance to get the Saturn systems. And with Saturn the same as before, her main blueprint will be coming from the market for 35,000 credits. Alright, so up next we have Trinity, and Trinity follows the same type of rules that Saturn followed, where we are going to need a special currency to try to farm Trinity. Now this special currency is called Animal Nav Beacons, and to get these beacons we will be running a defense mission on Pluto on the tile set Outer Terminus. On this mission we are looking for the Ambulus, and when the Ambulus does spawn, the goal is just to kill it as fast as you can, because these things can be really annoying, especially if you get the one that jumps around. Now there is no cap to how many of these you can kill in one mission. As long as they are spawning, or as long as you are in this mission, they shall continue to spawn. But once we have collected our Animo Nav beacons, we will be ready to start farming Trinity. Now to farm Trinity you will need 20 Animo beacons, but after we complete the mission we will be getting 10 of those back, so it is not as bad as farming Saturn. Now when it comes to farming Trinity, this encounter is not too hard, it's not terrible, it is a fairly easy encounter. As long as you're good with your hacking skills within Warframe, you should be alright. So whenever you finish with this encounter, you will have a 38.7% chance of getting her Neuroptics, a 38.7% chance at her chassis, and a 22.5% chance at getting Trinity's systems. And of course, as a bunch of the previously mentioned Warframes, her main blueprint will be in the market for 25,000 credits. Up next we have another straightforward frame, which will be Valkyr. We will be getting her by assassinating Allied V on Jupiter on the tile set Thermisto. Upon completion you will have a 38.7% chance to get her Neuroptics, a 38.7% chance at getting her chassis, and a 22.5% chance at getting her systems, with her main blueprint coming from the market for a simple 35,000 credits. And coming up as our second to last Warframe of this video, we have Vauban. Now to get Vauban we will need to do Nightwave, and if you've never done Nightwave, this might take you a little bit of time, as we need the credits from the current Nightwave in order to do this. Being that there is only a certain amount of missions per day and per week, it will limit how many credits we can get to meet the requirements of purchasing the components. And when it comes to purchasing Vauban's components, we will need 25 credits for each component, those components being the Neuroptics, the chassis, and the system. After you've gotten all 3 components, the last thing to get is the main blueprint from the market for 35,000 credits. And for our final frame we have Wisp. Now Wisp will come from the Ropalo list on Jupiter on the tile set the Ropalo list. Now this is another straightforward frame. Take down the Ropalo list and we will have a 25.8% chance across the board to get all of her components, with her main blueprint being 22.5% chance. There will be no finding the blueprint in the market. Keep farming the Ropalo list and eventually we will have Wisp. Holy crap, we made it to the end of the video. Now I know it's been a really long video. That's probably gonna be like 40-45 minutes long. If it's longer than that, I don't know what to tell you guys, but yeah, if you guys have any kind of questions about any part of this video, drop those down in the comment section below. If you guys have ideas for future content, drop that down in the comment section as well. If you want a breakdown of these boss fights, I probably can do a video like that. It's just going to take a lot longer to do that per frame because there's like 40 something frames out right now. But yeah, if you guys need help, if you guys have any kind of questions, comments, concerns, you know where to throw those already. Just throw them down there, type it in, hit send. I'll do my best at reading them, answering questions, trying to help out even further. I am sorry this video took way too long to be posted. It's been a year since my last video. I really appreciate everybody who's been destroying that sub button, everybody who's been destroying that like button, even the people that have been destroying the dislike button. No matter what, it is feedback, and however you guys think that I can fine-tune this content to better help the Warframe community, please be sure to drop that down in the comment section below. That way I know how to help you guys better. But with this video finally being done, I appreciate you all. Thanks for